especially, I cannot emphasize enough, this time last year, it was bleak. It was real bleak. And the rest of May did not get any better. I do think this year that's going to be very different. I think Final Destination Bloodlines is going to do well. Mission Impossible is obviously going to do well. So this May, I think there's a lot to look forward to. It's going to be different than last May, but just to see with my own eyes, theaters aren't dead.
Movies still exist.
It still exists for the time being, because there was news that President Trump, he might be killing the film industry altogether.
I have questions. None of them are good, but I have questions.
I have questions too. Now, there's been a little bit of backpedaling from the Trump camp since that initial report was out there that he was going to tariff all of these movies coming from overseas, which is kind of hilarious because Marvel just moved their home base from Atlanta to London with Fantastic Four. So that puts Disney in a bind.
But I do like the backpedaling on that, as if to suggest that this tariff announcement was just a scare tactic, but I don't think it actually was. But if that's what it ends up being, then okay, maybe it'll move a needle in a different direction. There is obviously a problem with regard to the way the American film business is operating. Jobs are on the fringes, right? Like we obviously advocate for bringing more jobs to the film business in general, right? Especially with the ongoing threat of AI.
Yeah.
But this is certainly arguably not the right answer for that.
No.
But it does lead to a lot of questions. Like, what does it mean when he says non-US movie? Does that just mean an American production being shot overseas? Does it mean maybe if they do visual effects work or post-production work overseas, as many of these companies are stationed overseas now? Does I don't know what this means. I don't know how you tariff a movie, let alone how you tariff a non-US movie. Especially what does this mean for foreign language films? And is this going to then limit US production companies from buying the distribution rights for them? There are a lot of questions I don't know the answers to, and yet every time I come to some hypothetical answer, I get scared for the artistic result that could come from it.
Well, Trump's initial post ended with, "We want movies made in America again." Of course, playing into his mantra there.
Yeah.
That very clearly says to me anyway that he wants the movies made in America. So if the production is overseas, even it's from, let's say, Disney, an American company, there's going to be a tariff on that film because it was made overseas. So he wants to incentivize movies being made in America, giving Americans jobs. But there really is no incentive at this point. I mean, most movies are made overseas, whether it be Canada, or not necessarily overseas, but either in Canada or in the UK, other places that, you know, it's cheaper to make movies there. Or
the problem is that it's not addressing the root cause, which is that the incentives to make movies in America, they're just not there, whether it be through tax credits or through the job market itself. It is a problem that needs to be addressed, but I don't think this is the way to go about it. And on top of that, it also limits artistic integrity in some ways, because how many movies out there, especially big movies that we love, are kind of dedicated to the global aspect. I mean, the Mission Impossible movies are all about that. So what does that mean? These movies are now going to be shot on a soundstage in Atlanta? Like, that's not interesting to me. There's something kind of comforting when a director has their own artistic license to take their story where they want to take it.
Yeah.
Sometimes that means going overseas to serve that story.
Exactly. I mean, look at Mission Impossible. That is a series of films where the protagonists are clearly an American agency, but they're working overseas. So we're in every country except the United States most of the time. But that's the foundation of those films.
Yeah.
They're not meant to be shot in America, and those movies aren't made on sound stages. They obviously go to these places for real because that's the Tom Cruise way, of course.
Yeah.
And they want to do all of that pragmatically. Are you going to punish Tom Cruise because that's how he wants to make his movies? Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
There's no way they're just going to eat the cost. They're going to have to get their way on that.
Yeah. And that's why so much of the memeing going on today was that Tom Cruise gave Trump a call, and that's why all of a sudden he's backpedaling. I don't know if that's true or not, but I imagine it is.
Didn't someone play the audio clip of Tom Cruise freaking out on set about wearing masks during COVID, and they kind of used that as the basis of what that phone call may have been?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I mean, there was several great memes about it, but it's not just Tom Cruise. The aforementioned Disney, if they're shooting Marvel movies in London because they're more incentivized to do that, I can't fathom that Disney is going to be happy with a tariff on their biggest movies coming to the United States, where obviously the U.S. is one of the biggest, if not the biggest market in the world. So
yeah,
I just, that's why there's so much reservation from a lot of people on the reality of this.
Yeah.
But if Trump does pull the trigger on it, it's going to kill the industry. It would kill it.
It's not, and the problem, like I said, it's not addressing the real root of this problem existing. If you want movies to be made in America again, or at least you want to be able to incentivize them properly, the root cause needs to be addressed on that incentivization, and how that operates internally. Because all this is then going to do is create a form of punishment against those that are doing it in a different way, that are incentivizing their filmmakers properly. And then there's just going to be pushback. It's just another trade war waiting to happen.
To me, it is really, really stupid, really dumb to tariff the production of the movies, especially when, if, and again, I know we're kind of assuming because the details of this are ambiguous.
They're very murky.
But if the idea is to tariff movies being made outside of the U.S., whether that be in Canada, the UK, Mexico, wherever, and we're talking about big studio films from Sony and Warner Brothers and Disney, they're obviously not going to be happy with that. Tariffing those movies, not a great result. But if the idea is we're just going to tariff foreign films coming into the United States, what is the point of that?
How?
Tariffing all we imagine as light, who does that serve? What is the point in any of that?
Like I said earlier, that just creates this sort of antagonizing between the U.S. and other nations. Then that's all that it fuels.
Dumb.
How do you even tariff a movie? What does that even mean? Tariffing the production costs, tariffing its budget if it's then shot overseas, tariffing just the post-production work if it's done overseas. Do you tariff ticket sales? How does this differentiate from streaming platforms that go straight to streaming?
I don't know. But that's the stupidity of it. This whole thing is dumb. Really, really dumb. I don't know if there's anything else I can add to it.
It just makes me laugh. Just the economics of it. Just I have so many questions.
So dumb. But the backpedaling is at least promising. I do love that because that means someone is in his ear, whether that's Bob Iger or Tom Cruise or both, some combination. Someone is in Trump's ear going, this is stupid. Let's not do that. Yeah. But they're not going to say that now. No. So they're going to backpedal in their Trumpian way, which is just ridiculous and absurd. But anyway, had to bring it up because my God, if that does happen, then the podcast is over because there's no movies.
It's hilarious. The backpedaling happened pretty quickly though. It was less than 24 hours before we got some added reservations about that news, which was pretty funny to me.
Utterly ridiculous.